Okay, so what does a typical day of training really look like? I'm not going to hold anything back. I'm going to walk you through exactly what I do in a day of training with someone, whether it's one person or a group of 5 or even 10 or 15. By the way, the smaller the group, the better. People always ask you, what's the best size? Well, the best size is one-on-one with the trainer. But it's obviously the most expensive, too, because you've got to charge for your time. But here's what I do. Typical scenario, I would pick out a day, let's say it's 2 weeks from now or 3 weeks from now. I would ask for a pre-training conference call with the person. Now, this works whether it's someone within your organization or an outside client, as in my case. I ask for time about 2 weeks out. I just want 10 minutes for a phone call. And in this phone call, I lay out exactly what the goals are for the day. I said, here are my goals. I want to hear what your goals are, but my goals are that you know how to look comfortable, confident, relaxed for any presentation you ever have to give in your life. That you know how to speak in a way that people understand you. That's the second goal. Because, hey, if you speak too quickly or too softly because you're nervous or you use too much jargon, no one's going to understand you. The third goal is to speak so that people remember your key messages. Now, that's actually the hardest thing to do. The biggest problem all of my clients have all over the world is they speak in a way that isn't memorable because they have too many facts, too many messages, it's too abstract. It goes in one ear and out the other. And that's the problem with about 99.9% of most business presentations is they are not memorable. So a lot of what we're going to do in this day together is help you make your speeches more memorable. Because that way we can focus on the fourth goal, getting people to take the actions you want. Business executives, political leaders, nonprofit leaders, when they are speaking, it's not just for intellectual enrichment, typically. It is to get people to do stuff. If you're selling something, you want the order. If you want more budget for your department for next year, you want approval for that budget. If you are running a political campaign, you want voters to vote in favor of your initiative. So speaking isn't just about people saying, oh, wow, isn't he a great speaker? Didn't she look polished? It's about getting the audience to take specific actions that you want. Is that what you wanted to learn in our day together? I'll ask them that. And they'll say yes, typically. I want emotional buy-in to what we're about. It's very important for people who are going to invest a day or more with you to understand why they're doing it, what they're getting out of it, and it really preps them in the right way. So then I ask them to do homework. So the real goal of this phone call is to motivate them to do homework. So I send them a couple of my public speaking books. One can be read in less than 20 minutes. I'm giving you, as a part of this course, access to both of them, no extra charge. It's in the bonus section of this course. And I said, if nothing else, read the one that can be read in 20 minutes. I then give them, and by the way, feel free to share these books at no extra cost to your clients or find others you respect. Better yet, write your own books. Personalize it. The next thing I do is I send them to my online presentation training course, which I'm going to give you access to here as well, and I ask them to go through the training. Now, the reason I'm doing that is I want to push out all the core concepts before they get into a room with me. Because as I mentioned earlier, the real training takes place when they are speaking and when they are watching themselves. So the less I have to speak, the better the training. The less I speak, the less you speak in a training, the more advanced your clients will get. The more they will improve their speaking skills. I know it sounds crazy, but it really is true. So you may say, well, teacher, I don't have an online public speaking course. Do what I did a number of years ago. Just with your own webcam, these days with an iPhone, record yourself speaking. I did mine in a little closet. As long as your clients can see you and hear you, you can just email them links to the videos on your own YouTube channel and tell them all the stuff that you think is really important. Send them the core content. For that matter, I've got thousands of videos on my YouTube channel. You can send those, but there's plenty of good videos on YouTube if you don't have your own yet. Ask the people you're going to train to do some homework in advance. Now, not everyone will, but some will, and the more homework they do in advance, the more they get out of the training. Now, let's fast forward to the day of training. Part of their homework was to take everything that they read and watched and come up with a new presentation incorporating those principles that they've actually practiced. And yeah, really try to get them, encourage them to do that. So the day of the training comes in, as I mentioned to you earlier, the first thing I do is have them just stand up, state what they think their weaknesses are, their strengths, what they want to get out of the day. We watch that. Then I have them give the presentation that they prepared. Before we watch it, I ask them to get their critic's hat on, to get out a pad and paper or an iPhone, whatever, tablet, whatever they want to write on. And I say, look, be a harsh critic of yourself, but be a fair critic. I want you to point out not just the stuff you don't like, but the stuff you do like in your presentation. So they watch it. I'm ready to go around the room, whether it's with one person or 10, and I'll say, I'm going to ask you in a moment to be the critic of your own speech, but I only want to know what you liked, for starters. I hated everything is quite often what you hear from people. It's very, very difficult for people to watch themselves objectively. But I have found you cannot start off on the negative. If you just let someone say 89 things they hated about their speech, and then you tell them 27 things they need to work on, intellectually, they may think you're smart and this is helpful. Emotionally, they're so depressed they want to jump out of the window and kill themselves. So I always start off on a positive foot. I only let them comment on what they like. If they can't think of anything, then I'll tell them 23 things they did well. And if it's a group training, I'll ask the others in the room to comment on what that person did well. It's critically important to build a strong foundation on someone's speaking skills. Then, without even dwelling on the negative, I'll ask them to do the speech again, or at least the first 3-4 minutes of it. Watch it, and then critique themselves. And I say, this time, we're going to let you talk about what you don't like. But this time, to start with, I only want to know where the improvement was. And virtually every time, people see improvement. And I'll say, aha, biggest insight of the day had nothing to do with any of my advice because I didn't give you any advice yet. But you spoke once, you watched yourself, you graded yourself, you did it again, and you saw improvement. Some of you saw dramatic improvement. Take note of that. That's the most important lesson of the day. Because if you can speak once, record it, watch it, critique it, and improve, you now have a system where you can get better and better and better and better and better until you are great. Even if I fell off the face of the earth. So it's a critical moment in the day, and it happens early in the day. And they realize that it's not needing me, the all-knowing guru. It's a process that they can do, and they can do on their own. Now, they need a little guidance because a lot of people can't see where they improved, and you have to really focus on it. So, for example, if the first time someone spoke too quickly and were frozen and were fidgeting, the second time, maybe their speed went down a little, which is good. They moved a little more, but their hands still fidgeted. They may not have noticed the improvements they made. They're focused on, oh, my hands still move. You've got to really point out what they actually did better. So that's the main process of the day. You have them practicing again and again and again. The next lesson typically says, let's pick one point of your speech, tell a story around it. And that really is the biggest difference between great speakers and awful speakers. Awful speakers never have stories because there's no time, because they got to go through all the data. Great speakers illustrate every single point with a story. And you do it again and again and again. Every training is a little bit different because it's particular to the specific needs of the person. If you're using PowerPoint, you obviously work on that. You integrate that into it. And we do it again and again and again until the person can look at the video and like it. That is the ultimate test, and that's a typical day of presentation training.